Good evening. Hello, everybody. Thanks for coming out to the Barrel Proof Lounge. We hope we put together a good program for you. The main deal is the fire. We live with fires all the time. We forget about them for a while, and then we have another one. So I was having a conversation with Robin Gabbert, and we were talking about poems and fire and stuff like that. I said, well, I have some. And she says, well, I have some. And I'm thinking, well, why don't we do something? So we did this. This is our first night. Shawna Swetech is on the team. This is going to be an annual event. The belief is this kind of stuff, we need to work with it. It's pretty powerful. It's very powerful. It takes us by surprise. So that's all I'm saying about that. I'd like to acknowledge a few people who have helped put this program together. We have Brad Cox on video and audio. Brad is wearing a Paradise t-shirt, sweatshirt that he was there after the fire for 3 years, working to help clean up Paradise. So let's roll it out for Brad Cox. There's a book, he has a book, it's not ready to sell or something, it's to preview. He only has one copy, so if you'd like to, make a visit. Okay, our next is Rob Cervantes. Rob Cervantes is the man behind the scenes. He does the sound, he does the lightings, he comes and goes. He's very, right to it, and he just really is a big fit from the very beginning of Barrel Proof Lounge. So that's Rob Cervantes. Okay, Sue Daly is in the lounge. We have beer, wine, soft drinks, bubbly drinks, the works. If you want to get some food, Golden Bun across the street is very good. Eddie's down the boulevard here is exceptional. Haiku around the corner on 7th Street, they have Japanese and Korean food, and it's all very good. Okay, and we have Casey Williams, the club owner. He put his fortune on the line to make this place. He wanted it to be for everybody. So we have comedy on one end, we have poetry on the other, and we have music in the middle. So, yes, that's my son, Casey Williams. Thank you. Thank you very much. Okay. Free popcorn out in the lobby. There are programs. Pick up a program, take it with you. We have books. If you want to obtain any books from any authors, just see them privately, and we'll work that out. They'll work it out with you. And let's see. I think that does it. Next, I'd like to call up Shawna Swetech. Shawna is a poet I just met here at 6 months ago at the very first Barrel Proof Lounge, and we've talked about poetry and so forth, and she has written an invocation to get us started in this fire benefit. Shawna Swetech.
Oh, I'm not that tall. Yeah, this is okay? Yeah. Hi, everybody. So nice to see you all on this kind of rainy pre-fall event. When I talked to Timothy originally and he was saying he wanted to do a night of poetry around fire, I kind of went, ugh, what? Because I'm thinking, well, is this going to stimulate, everybody's PTSD and all that kind of stuff? And is it going to be really heavy? But I thought, okay, I've got a bunch of poems. And then it just, as it happened, a couple days later, my husband and I were watching TV, and I was watching this show. This fellow went down to Oaxaca in Mexico to experience the Day of the Dead ceremony. Of course, he thought it was just going to be all party, and come to find out that not only was it an event to honor the dead and welcome them back, but it also functioned as a way for people to be less afraid of death. And something in my mind went, okay, well, maybe we can, kind of think about that with the fire poems. And so I started also thinking about the ancestral and indigenous role of fire around the world, the spiritual significance that's used in land stewardship, like the use of controlled burns, and how our ancestors and even the native people here in Sonoma County saw fire not just as a physical element and a necessary tool for survival, but it was a connection point between the physical and the spiritual worlds. It was seen as a living spirit and had ceremonial and cultural significance. And I was thinking about like the Hawaiian people and a lot of the native peoples around the world, how they used fire, and at the same time saw it not only as spiritually significant, but as a potential destructive force. And so created rituals and ceremonies offering prayer to invoke harmony and balance and protection against catastrophic events. So for us here tonight, there's a great benefit in having an evening where we're talking about fires, and we're sharing and reflecting on our experiences. And in doing so, we are looking fire in the face and we are not turning away. We're honoring its power and also honoring us and our resilience. In reclaiming our stories, we make them into a source of meaning and growth. We take back some of our agency, we reduce the emotional charge of our memories, and at the same time, we can lessen the anxiety that comes year after year in the fire season. It helps us to find balance as people who are living in a fire-prone state. So tonight, I'd like us to consider the words and the music and the tears and the spirit of our gathering as a kind of a healing ritual, and also as an offering and a protective prayer to the element of fire. And may it be so. Thanks.
Shawna's a retired registered nurse and a healthcare practitioner. So I called her to come up with some fundamentals about dealing with fire, and thank you for that. That's really helped, really get you. Okay. We're going to do the first half of the show. We're going to start with Ed Coletti, or with Abby Lynn Bogomolny. Bogomolny, right. And so we're going to we have Steve Shain on the stand-up bass. Abby's going to get us going. And then Ed and Steve are coming up. Then we'll take a 10-minute break. And then we come back. We have a baseball team's full of readers, 9 readers. We're going to be on the couch, and it's going to be seamless. And we're going to go one to the other and try to carry the arc of the fire. How does it start? Or, it has an arc. We don't want to be going over the same thing. The building fell, the building fell, the building fell. So we've got a little storyline planned. So I'd like to, Abby Lynn Bogomolny is an editor of the anthology New to North America, writing by U.S. immigrants and author of 3 poetry collections, Nauseans in Paradise, Black of Lighted Pool of Dreams. She'll read a bit from tonight. In the 90s, Abby found the press-burning Bush publications and juried its jury prize for a decade. After serving as a faculty in English with Santa Rosa Junior College for years, she continued to write, sing, and stir the cultural soup in Northern California. Abby Lynn Bogomolny.
It's an honor to be here, and I thank everybody that has had a hand in putting this together, be it the journal of the kernel of the idea, and Timothy for making it happen, and this amazing space we're in. So thank you. The first one I'm going to read is based on a true story, and the title is "In Praise of a Small, Still Voice." Deep in the folds of the Makayamas sits a camp Sheila rented for an art retreat on October 7th and 8th of 2017. Invited to join her, I dragged myself up there mid-afternoon on the 7th, where 10 artists were having a blast splashing acrylics in the studio, a cement block building set lower than the earth around it, a space colder than outside air, so chilly, in fact, that I had to leave. Sheila said, "It's okay, go warm up. Take a nap in our dorm, that old wood cabin up the hill. Join us later." Up the slope through dense, dry woods, I found the quiet cabin with old-fashioned country quilts folded on chairs, an electric stove, tiny fridge and kitchen, ancient throw pillows on the bed where I collapsed and stared up at the ceiling tiles to the blue jays hopping branches outside. Closed my eyes, took a deep breath, took the cabin in, sank into the soft mattress, part awake, part drifting up somewhere else, somewhere else. Inside, I heard a voice say, "You know, this place would take you a long time to get out of, if you needed to." Huh? It was a sweet, small, still voice inside me. Definitely not the inner drill sergeant of my self-talk. I know, I'm working on it. "Well, yeah, good idea," I said out loud. "The roads here, twisty, windy, twisty, twisty. And by the time I walked across the property from parking, yes, I better not stay over tonight," I said again. Later on, I joined Sheila and the artists to celebrate their fun day over snacks, and then drove out before dark on Saturday night. Next afternoon in downtown Santa Rosa, dry, brittle winds blew over us from the east, flipping the needled arms of leyland cypress and redwoods in jagged circles. Not our regular moist Pacific winds. No, these dry winds on October 8th appeared to have two minds in conflict that tossed every green tree limb in multiple directions, a red flag, especially during fire season. Wait, was it fire season already? I called Sheila right away to see how late the workshop would be. The call went to message. The internet was now exploding. People were concerned over the thick smoke from a fire in Calistoga. I texted, I called, but no word arrived back until 10 p.m. "I'm all ready to leave and we're smelling smoke," she said. "However, 911 says there's no danger, so there's really no rush to leave." "What? No, you must leave now. The reports I'm hearing on the radio, I still have to be sure all artists have left." "Of course, but where's your co-producer?" "She already packed out." "And the camp owners and manager?" "They just walked over to let the horses go." "You need to go. The radio has reports of flames and sparks blowing up the canyon from Calistoga." When Sheila drove out, walls of angry orange flames were climbing trees on both sides of the road. She locked her eyes steady and stared straight ahead to get through. High heat radiated through the glass on the driver's side on her way to petrified Forest Road. Yes, petrified, in more ways than one. A traumatized friend showed up on my doorstep. "We do what we must." And this is in praise of a small, still voice. Thank you. Yeah, it's hard to listen to those voices, but they do help. So I'm going to move into different things. This is a poem from my book, The Lighted Pull of Dreams. Slightly different subject. Inky black of moonlit sea, our walk at midnight by the lighthouse, bundled warm from the cold after a dim day of January. Other nights I fly over the hill where mist lingers in silver patches, breathe the airborne fog. On the return, a fringe of redwood fingers brushes my gleaming belly. Outstretched wings glide me. I am pulled by the sureness of gravity and my love of returning to you. With the turning earth, so do we, half in sleeping, the other half sleep. We fall inside, unwind, and retreat. As green things twist an inch by inch daily toward the sun, we drift closer to the lighted pull of dreams. Invisible to eyes outside, we fall, fill ourselves, and fly. Flapping and feeding, we flock like seagulls to the lighted pull of dreams. Thank you. So, I have a new musical instrument. It's a jar with water, and I'm going to try it with these two poems that are a little somber. The first one is the lightless hour, followed by the very, very quick events may send one. Okay. Maybe it is the lightless hour that allows us to drift freely this way. The night without edges in moonlight is before us. We can escape like smoke through the window. Let us go. Let us go. In only a few minutes, they may come for us. Events may send one down the chute narrow of metallic cold, whose sides close in as it tunnels below, to be spat into a sap-sucking slot. A cement corridor, dimly lit. A jagged space in which to stretch, breathe and pull ourselves to sleep. Deprivation spawns habits that gnaw at our core till we scream at others not to weep. Deprivation spawns habits that gnaw at our core till we scream at others not to weep. Little bit of a crash landing there. So I like playing with sound a lot, and I'm going to do this one with this little bell. Okay, this is kind of a song, I guess. Not really. It's a poem. It's a song poem. Let's just get this right plucked. Okay. There's the right place. How long will it take this time? 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 You can say that we got on the wrong foot. You can say we were taken by poor schnooks. If we learn and we care, we can read books. Imagine. How long will it take this time? How long will it take this time? Are you still a friend of mine? How strong might be your own spine? What I want, what you want, is the whole pie. No one said that you rule the huge sky. If we learn and we care, we can do fine. Imagine. How long will it take this time? How long will it take this time? Are you a friend of mine? When will we stand eye to eye? Thank you. So that was a 6/8 bell, like a little 6/8 bell. You could play with triplets. It's fun. Um, a- I had an idea that I wanted to imagine what it would be like to be me living a few hundred years ago. So I wrote this poem about somebody living in the 1700s, July Joy, 1775. Don't be shocked. Everyone loves my husband, but I married him for his sister. We tend the garden together as our strength and youth are equals. Most long and dusty mornings we move in harmony. Through the rose, lilt and limb, step and lift, her long wavy hair tied until a need draws us to the creek, whereupon we splash, laugh, and float as her hair, a freshwater fan, envelops me in its lively joy. My mother knows, as she prepares meals at our hearth, that my husband labors far from here to earn the land that feeds the family. And as a son of liberty, he will be the first to fight for the colonies. I suppose he is kind compared to most who swear, drink, and treat us roughly. Every few months he returns for a spell during which he hopes to leave me with child. While it's not proper to speak of such, his sister never leaves me weak or sore. If I do not look forward to this chore, it is not that I am ungrateful. We would not have this home without him, but without his sister, there would be no joy. So I'm going to return to my origins a little bit with this poem. This is dedicated to my cousin Stephanie Weber, who once lived in the house. Well, she lived in the house as a young person, longer than I did, but it's the house mentioned in this poem. And she passed away last night about 4 o'clock a.m. East Coast time. I got a call around 1 o'clock or 2, I can't remember. This is called Their Silver Allure. Montague Street meets the Brooklyn Heights Promenade, overlooking the East River, where new lovers take euphoria out for a stroll. Pillow creases on their faces, they gaze at the skyline of lower Manhattan, seeing luxury suites, boxy high-rises, and the squashed windows of projects. Oh, the brick of it, the pothole of it. What happens to dreams? When does forever hit a narrow wall? The lives of our parents and our parents' parents, walking institutional hallways around deathbeds, distant, scratchy voices on phone lines running from or to our promises, our ever elusive, shivering dreams. Their silver allure sings to us. 7 miles away from Brooklyn Heights, my father made a promise in a house with a sandstone stoop and a wrought iron door that led to a vestibule. It opened to a cool, dark hallway with the smells of old country cooking. a house where kids charged the alley to a courtyard to play ball against brick. 3 stories high, a house with wine jugs and coal bins in the basement where the boiler was fed and meters read. House of my father's power tunneling to his youth. Plants on the fire escape as they rose to the roof. A time when refugee neighbors pronounced our name like a melody and savored the rolling rise of it, meaning one who prays to God, a name with which they were careful, not an obstacle that challenged a clumsy mouth. The house was a dream of my grandparents, one my grandmother chose, not by the fire station, not under the elevated train. After years of saving, selling children's clothes from a pushcart, after years of sweating in their laundry, an attached walk-up of sand-colored brick with the 6 two-bedroom apartments. A house where for a time my grandparents, my father, his 2 sisters, the married sister's husband, and their new baby lived in one apartment until my aunt and uncle moved downstairs, welcomed a second child and a dog named Trudy. A house from which I stared out a north-facing window to the courtyard as a little girl. Years later, without brothers or sisters and my grandparents gone, I tried to hear the conversations embedded in the wallpaper. Russia had left stones in my grandparents' shoes, hidden compartments in the closet walls, and desks with false bottoms. Family lore, when my dad once brought home a high school trophy for winning the 100-yard dash, my grandmother just glared at him. Instead of a smile at congratulations, she slapped him across the face. Any dope can win a race, she said. I want you to study and become somebody. Oh, the brick of it, the pothole of it. May we do better. Again, dedicated to my cousin who passed away, who lived in that house. Yeah. Okay. I think I have my book in here. Oh, there it is. All right. So I went back to teach this semester, and it's pretty fun, actually. It's a lot of work. So this is dedicated to my students in the classroom, called In the Classroom. Luckily, I'm teaching creative writing, so it's much more marvelous. Not a day of thunderous sneezes as textbooks fall to floors with a smack, or blank faces conceal texting on laps, and coffee mugs spill all over backpacks. Maybe Oscar will trip and Jessica will look away, but it does not mean anything, except Rick cannot concentrate. He broke his wrist in 9th grade and it aches when he presses into it. Lucy proclaims her paragraph is terrible. She hates to write without a laptop. She crumples up her paper just as Denise finishes her free write, sweeping an arc across her desk into the air, hitting Alejandro in the nose. She's so embarrassed, but not as upset as James, who just remembered we had homework due. I long for those rare moments when the only sounds are papers turning, students engaged in their holy work, the brush of pencil lead across paper, the click of keyboards, the groan of chairs under shifting weight. I bathe in this silence, admire their imaginations, the pointed power of their focused minds. Perhaps a small sneeze or soft cough will bring me back from feeling that these efforts will launch their best selves like rockets, full of fiery beauty, luck, and grace into the electric air of their futures. And I'll close with this quick piece. It again harkens back to my roots in Brooklyn, New York. Imagine waking up, knocking and hissing, you could rise like steam, straining pipes to the first, then second floor. You could sputter multiple languages and be called brilliant. Or you could just lie in bed, look around the room in the dark, unable to change your grainy swordfish night. If all the hoopla seems to belong to others, friends, laughter, children, grandchildren, fun you missed, maybe it's because your prime time sits at the end of tomorrow's long afternoon. When the pale sun rises, one moment is all it takes to use your treasure. Rise. So thank you. I think I'm on time, and I'll cede my time to all the other wonderful poets here. So you're a great audience. Thank you.
Now, really, how about that instrument with water? Where would we be without teachers? Okay, thank you so much. Next, I'd like to introduce Ed Coletti. Ed Coletti is a legend in Santa Rosa. He publishes, he writes, he had Cafe Frida hostings of poetry for 3 years. And that's, I haven't spent a lot of time with this man, but the more I spent, the more he gets interesting, more interesting, and so on. So I'd like to, Ed Coletti's been writing and publishing for almost 60 years. He said to tell you, obviously I'm old and perhaps sufficiently so to have gained a bit of perspective, allowing me to nearly complete the manuscript of my collection titled A Tourist in Time. Apropos to this evening's reading, Ed and Joyce Coletti lost their home and possessions in the 2017 fires. They decided not to rebuild their Fountain Home house, instead downsized to a welcoming court near downtown Santa Rosa, where they are thriving. Ladies and gentlemen, Ed Coletti.
Hi. Nice crowd. Thank you, Abby. That was great. Well, it could be a really somber topic, fire. And I told Tim that I wanted to, Shakespeare believed in comic relief. And we're going to do that with a few jazz poems, Steve on bass and me, Steve Shain. And, well, let me just begin. A light topical non-fire intro. Casually disguised protagonist. Don Quixote tilting with California windmills. When I can, I bypass Highway 580 West through the scorching Altamont Pass, best remembered for a 1971 Stones concert, marred by Hell's Angels, violence, cause enough to dismiss our age of Aquarius. On the brighter side, we were bequeathed a carnival farm of innocent windmills, their fan blades alchemically and practically harmless, save for some raptors dotting the scorched and vacant land. Among them were American eagles, tapping the political conscience, not for ecology, but for the eagle as dying emblem. Then Don Quixote appeared, driving a golf cart beneath the turbines, striking me like a well-hit Titleist golf ball, or a desert image from Spiritus Mundi. Upon reflection, I knew old Don was researching this property for yet another golf course. Perhaps the Quixote Livermore Country Club, or something like that. Remember, as in Genesis, the naming is the creation. From Firestorm. Serious reflection. They don't know what to say to me, to their fear of what I represent to them, since that which terrorizes them is what I'd never contemplated before it all happened to me. Now, having a future become their own possible reality, they see through me as they would a mirror, reflecting the little that fire will leave to them. A few months or years after the fire, I was wearing this shirt, and I said, man, I've had this for a long time. Then I realized I haven't had anything for a long time. Shirt of several colors. Unreasonably hot March morning, perhaps seasons too have memories. I discard my long-sleeved shirt for a familiar bleeding Madras short-sleeved number with Docker's anchor embossed on its left pocket, surrounded by small squares colored in various hues of blue and crimson among larger white ones. At first, I'm thinking I don my comfortable shirt, only then to realize why it chose me this hot morning, 5 months following the great Sonoma County wildfire, continuing to envelop our home and our lives. This innocent garment being one more of the very few surviving artifacts we'd brought out with us when we escaped by car with only minutes to spare. Nothing else but each other, my Toyota, and our Terrier. Joyce's little car had melted to a puddle of chrome and steel, the chrome mirroring the runes about it. Someone, perhaps an errant postal worker, though more likely a firefighter or police officer, had placed our garden Buddha atop the brick pedestal to which I had bolted our country mailbox when Joyce, some 26 years before, when Joyce and I married, as we'd been for less than a year, first occupied this, our first and only home purchased together. The shock this morning, staring at myself in my shirt, forgotten and now remembered as one of the final things I'd grabbed and worn out of our house, through the fire to a shelter and toward the news I'd never anticipated, that our house, the hearth for generations of children and grandchildren, burned to the ground along with the houses of each and every one of our friends and neighbors, and that but for this multicolored Madras shirt, virtually everything I had and loved, 50 years of handwritten spiral-bound journals, genealogies, poems, short stories, computers, paintings, passports, savings bonds, photographs, memories, all remaining only in phantom pain. And the excitement I feel for something as simple as this shirt on my back. Thank you. Thank you. When random sharks attack, when a frenzy of orange threshers, battle-sharpened yellow teeth ablaze, rushes to take your home, nothing can prepare you for the carnage. Denial, an oh so temporary refuge, briefly houses your future plans and hopes. It too is overtaken by voracious marauders. I speak as one consumed. I dream of a huge red bear. I am empty, sad, feel worthless. I don't know what to do, be still or fight. Luck had saved me up till the present. I'm watching scores of rock doves swoop these Oakland hills, evade the stoop of circling red-tailed hawks, eye level with our refuge from the fire of that black senses-deadened infant morning's blind-eyed rush sans a single dorsal fin to warn or woo, while now and here in hills across the bay, awake to strangeness, curse of phantom pain, we know, but still we want the easy comfort of our house, the sense of going home to what we know, to what we together purchased once we married. I seek a new thesaurus to explain things. Here in space where furniture doesn't fit me, in and out of my body, feeling freaky. If it's true that attachment equals suffering, I've been shoved onto the road of enlightenment all too quickly here in a region known as purgatory, atoning for my sin of routine comfort. We almost died. We did not die. We lost a house and all possessions. Much more remains in the rubble of our pain, the innocence of sharks very much maligned. Of spouses and fires, half lose their husbands or their wives. Far fewer lose homes to wildfires. The first, though worse, no one survives. Obstinate, the second transpires. No pain tops death of spouse or child. Gloom, bone cancer, real or phantom. From home, your hearth, you've been exiled. Hymn of passing, your soul anthem. What happens with the house rebuilt or another one discovered? Might fickle need produce new guilt, front door unrecovered? When might longing for what has passed transform to smoke none understands? It's futile wisdom we've amassed, while gods do laugh at human plans. I want to ask my wife if she would like to make any comments about the fire. It's okay to say no. I'm seeing no. Okay then. The fire hit Joyce much harder than it hit me. It hit me pretty hard. Bay Area legend Jack Foley lifted my spirit with this poem on the occasion of my 74th birthday, 3 months following the fire. Happy birthday to Ed Coletti by Jack Foley. They can burn my house, they can burn my shoes, they can burn everything I usually use. They can burn my kitchen, they can burn my den, they can burn my lamp, but I show up again with my dog, my wife. When you got nothing, you still got life, and life isn't nothing. Let the fire destroy everything I do. I can do it again. I'm a fire too. So burn, so burn, so burn. Let's see here. One more from the fire batch, and then I will ask Steve Shain to come up here and accompany me on three jazz poems, and I said that comic relief is necessary. in somber times, but we'll do some jazz. Fire and Ice Revisited, following the October 2017 blaze that consumed our house. Apologies to Robert Frost. Some say the world will end in fire, some say in ice. From what Frost tasted of desire, he held with those who esteem fire, but added, if it must end twice, his understanding of man's hate informed him for destruction ice is also great and would suffice. But in my present case, I note, the first becomes my final vote. What's been started from a flicker gets it done a whole lot quicker. Ladies and gentlemen, Steve Shain. Coltrane, dig? I suppose what it is with Train and me is he takes all the time he wants to take, each outside of time, even outside of time, sidereal time, stardust time, Bessie Blue time, through and through him time, trancy groove time, even arranged time. The Duke laying down Stevie blocks. Train ain't gonna be no mortar here. He gonna weave a kind of mesh round Duke's work. Train lacing Duke's solidity with blues spirit. Duke hears it, stays near it, laying Stevie blocks, now playing Train blocks. The Duke, inspired, laying down Train blocks. Then comes slow Train's pleasing molasses blue invention, and no one makes new like Coltrane, the original organic cat, and not much a stranger in a not so strange land. He resonates. That's it. We get Train. That why Train is Train. You hear a bass soloing, wherever that bass is echoing, whoever that bass, he echoing Train, and what jazz all about. If the drum set belonged to Tootie Heath or to Philly Joe Jones, it don't matter. They both Coltrane without his horn. C'est la vie, man. Train, be something else. Something like deity, ethereal, night, man. I mean, you take Nancy. You give her a lavender face, so she be Nancy with the laughing face. What you got be only Coltrane stirring something delicious in his pot. Coltrane doing Nancy. No need explaining her gleeful countenance, you dig? Train, hey, he got no need to wreck the show. These are from my book of music poems, Apollo Blues Harp and the Gods of Song, in 2019. What do we see next? Lovely to Look At by Miles Davis. Your acts subdued, flowing like French wine, showing off just because you quietly can. Miles beyond us, beyond all of us. Lovely to look at, delightful to hold, syncopated complexity. Saxon piano, Max brushing. Certainly all of that, Max sticking it now. But you, Miles, muted craziness, not now beating no women, that irresistible horn, delightfully cold, too old to be bold, exhaling purely feverish gold. And the final one, bird. I recall you, dream weaver. I remember you. You're the one who makes most dreams come true, Sir Charles, just not your own. When the sack ceases dreadfully, heroes fall, trumpets screech, Max Roach calls you to attention, Sir Charles. Listen to Diz, man. Just don't fade, man. I hear lover again. Bird, you're with me like my mother's voice that's with me on my digital recorder. Dig it all, bird. Stir it up, man. So this is it, where I am at now. Tunisia, at night, tonight, this very night, a very black night, with invisible black birds. Here in Tunisia, in Tunis, in Tunis, dissonant tune in Tunis, in Tunisia, guitar and muted trumpet, and you, bird, here in Tunis and in Kansas City, blue with you, man. In Count Basie's town, bourbon and blues, you and me and bourbon, and the blues here in KC, tapping it out here in KC, just you and me, piano makes three, not to mention young Dizzy. Man, are we ever swinging. Thank you.
Began playing the string bass in 1963 in Chicago Heights, Illinois. He's accompanied poets Ruth Weiss, Jack Michelin, Lawrence Ferlinghetti, Earl LeClaire, and others, inspired by musical mentors Richard Waters, Tom Waits, Harry Parch. Steve is not just a bass player, he's an artist, using the bass for self-expression and art. His bass, it's a 1930s Alcoa made Alcoa. See why we need, see? Made in Buffalo, New York. Steve Shain. Stay here.
Okay, there, that's better. Thank you all for coming. It's a great turnout.
You're okay? Everybody here okay?
I'm honored to be here. A lot happened in October of 2017. I was actually visiting on the East Coast. My parents in assisted living. Paramus, New Jersey. A few miles from where this bass is from, which is from Teaneck. It's for you, Dave. 2017, I'd driven across country. In Kazi, 2001 Hyundai Accent that I still drive. My mom's car. It's what my friend Phil calls an LMCP, low mileage cream puff. It was a garage queen. But I lived in Petaluma. 2017. So there I was visiting my parents. And went back to Ithaca. High above Cayuga's waters, Yep, my alma mater, 40-year reunion. And I'm not a reunion guy, but I went there because if anyone's been to Ithaca, there's Cornell, and then on the other hill is Ithaca College. And it just so happened that same weekend as the Cornell reunion was the ISB convention at Ithaca College, International Society of Bassists. I've always been an outsider on the bass, so I knew about the ISB. My parents in Paramus. My dad wasn't doing too well. I've only changed one diaper in my life and seen one dead body, my dad. Ira! It was 2017. I knew about the fires. I was on the East Coast watching it on TV. The reunion in Ithaca, the ISB convention, seeing my dad. I'd never seen an open casket before. Drive back on Interstate 80. A lot of thoughts, a lot of memories, a lot of thoughts. Me and Kazi. I'm a big guy, it's a small car. To me, it's like a womb. Some of us are old enough to remember a TV show called My Mother the Car. That's how I feel sometimes. Interstate 80, that Highway 12 turnoff. Even before that, right around Sacramento, I could smell it. The closer I got, the more I could smell it. Eventually, I could taste it, that ash. Some of us know that turnoff of 80 on Highway 12. You drive through Sonoma. There's one turnoff there where Laura Chanel has her goat farm, or used to. It burned. And right on the right there used to be these 3 or 4 boxcars that, when I looked at them, they always reminded me of the Holocaust. They were old school wooden boxcars. They were gone. Only the skeletons remained. A lot happened in October 2017. Some things will never change. Some things will never be the same. I used to love driving on 101 North and looking up at Round Barn. It's not there. But there is another Round Barn in Santa Rosa that not everyone knows about, near 9th Street, west of the railroad tracks. So please visit and remember the other Round Barn. Love supreme, we persevere.
Truly amazing. Speechless, in a state of awe, like, what is this? Okay, let's take a little break here. Let's take a break. You think? Maybe 10, 15 minutes, have a beer, have a glass of wine, come back, we're going to do a sequence. It's something special. Thank you very much. Okay, I want to bring all the poets in the second half of the show up. This is an evening of poetry dedicated to reflections on the California wildfires. This is a part 2 cast sequence. We're going to introduce very little. We have Barbara Ann Abbott, Ann Hutchinson, Shawna Swetech, Jodi, Hottel. Barbara Ann Abbott comes back, Gabriela Vannier, Robin Gabbert, Brian Martens, Bridget Hayes, and we're ready to roll. First up is Barbara Ann Abbott.
It took me about 5 years before I could ever read any or write anything about the fire of 2017. And this is the first poem I wrote that, and it was published in a Redwood Writers anthology. And I call it Burning Memory. It burns on in one's mind like hot lava from an active volcano after the last home was violently destroyed, after the last car exploded, and the putrid smell of burning rubber filled the air, suffocating all hope. The peacefulness of entire neighborhoods shattered in a night of horror. After bravely returning to one's home, victims prayed for mercy. Instead, shock, then hysteria. Cherished belongings accumulated over a lifetime, gone forever, leaving only burning embers that sear one's brain, an everlasting agony, never far from one's thoughts. It burns on like a jagged wound from the stab of a knife, straight through your heart, at the mere recollection of the nightmarish escape. It burns on like a furnace on full blast, thermostat with no off switch. It burns on like a case of shingles that lingers endlessly, medication useless. It burns on like a continuous throbbing pain with each memory of the night when contentment and precious sense of security were forcefully ripped away without warning. Thank you.
Good evening. Thank you all for coming out. I'm vertically challenged. So Timothy asked me if I had a song, I usually sing, if I had a poem about the fire. And I did, but it was locked in here, and so I wrote it a couple weeks ago. This is a packing list for an apocalypse. I awoke in an apocalypse. Acrid, orange sky. Macabre snowflakes descend. Oh my God, why? Burned houses and cars, neighborhoods and trees, incinerated animals and people, wispy ash from these. The racing wildfire, its insatiable need, fueled by houses, it built up speed. Had to be ready, pack a bag, had to choose what to bring. The practical and necessary, or the cherished thing? Clothes for 2 days, or maybe a week. Deeds and insurance, or heirlooms. I'm freaked. My packing lists were no help at all. Were for return trips, not no port of call. What will I need most? A toothbrush, underwear, creature comforts? For which will I care? We packed for survival, Grab some photos, electronics and chargers, pillowcases of clothes. Questioned decisions, looked in nooks, more socks, or my out-of-print books. We sat by the radio, needing to know. Would we have to flee? Where would we go? More houses in the inferno, more friends fleeing. We look at the reports, can't believe what we're hearing. I think of my jewelry, not for value, but for meaning. Each piece tells a story, floods me with feeling. Matching rings from the wharf, bought on our honeymoon, the necklace from Kauai, the bracelet from Cancun. Do I grab my jewelry box, safe for whatever's next? Or will it be a millstone, a worry in that context? Sitting at the table, eating another meal, and a house, a wildfire has not come to steal. Around me I gaze at the familiar things, the birthday calendar, pepper mill, napkin rings. I wonder about my friends, their homes lost. Will it hollow them out more, the little things that don't cost? Maybe that's what's important, the things to bring, that special ring, but also the common thing. Thank you.
Then the lights went out, and we sat in the dark for a while. So I would like to read Candlelight Shadows. I had it marked, and it just went right away. Anybody remember that chaos of just trying to figure out what to bring and what to take, and propane tanks are blowing up, and a little bit of a challenge, I think. To write a poem about that is exceptional. Here we are. Candlelight Shadows. This was the Tubbs fire. Candlelight shadows past the kitchen counter in the room's corners. Well, written upon walls with fiery hands, time-worn letters and sad endings. Mend Earth's rules, repair Earth's damage, love Mother Earth like never before. She survives, is scarred, her garments are worn, lifetimes torn. Her face bears the fissures of time in this grand century of smoke and fires. One can beat back the fire's relentless fury and thwart its mangled path, back into the earth's savage ground, when we pour the water on and pour the water on until it runs out.
I wrote this poem 3 days after the Tubbs fire came. I was still working at Kaiser Hospital as a nurse, and the hospital was closed, and I was woken up super early in the morning on that third day. I couldn't sleep. Sonoma County wildfire, day 3, Birdsong at sunrise. And this is a pantoum, by the way, so you'll notice repeating lines throughout. At the balance point of night and day, lavender light divides the darkness. For a moment, I forget the Diablo winds, the whipping wildfires that terrible night. As lavender light divides the darkness, I remember jolting awake, the 4 a.m. phone call that terrible night, Whipping wildfires are ripping through the forest right into our town. I remember jolting awake, the 4 a.m. phone call, running to the windows, the skyline's hellish orange, ripping through the forest and right into our town. But this morning, a pale sunrise, the call of a songbird. Running to the windows, I saw the skyline's hellish orange, cried for the birds, their sooty wings, nests all gone. But this morning, in the pale sunrise, a songbird's call cracks open another sorrow. This is our new normal. I cry for the birds, their sooty wings, nests all gone, how they fled the flaming trees, small lungs full of smoke. Cracked open, sorrow is our new normal. I so want to believe this birdsong can save us. They fled the flaming trees, small lungs full of smoke. The once blue sky now gray with tension, anxiety. I so want to believe this birdsong can save us, that cottony clouds and stars will soar again. The once blue sky grayed with tension, anxiety. But one day we'll forget those Diablo winds. Cottony clouds and stars will soar again at every point of day and night. Thank you.
I'm a little shorter than Shawna, but is this okay? Yeah, okay. We live just a couple of blocks from Mark West Estate, which was completely decimated during the fires. Not a single house remained, but we were one of the lucky ones. But that was one of our walking routes with our dog. And afterwards, when there was nothing there, I would tend to forget what it used to look like. So I would, for a while, be able to go on Google Maps and see what the houses look like. And then, of course, it got rebuilt, and they took the pictures again of what it looks like. This is called Forgotten Faces. We passed them on our daily walks, facades so familiar. This one's red door and white shutters. That one's low hedge of rose bushes, retaining wall. An inside dog always barked at us here. Otherwise, the houses were various variations on a theme. Prominent two-car garage, gray or blue color scheme. Once the fire raged through, their faces went blank. Lone brick chimney, carapaces of cars, location of the kitchen marked by the stove box. Only small displays of objects found. A cup, wrought iron chair, Buddha differentiate their features. How soon the vision of these familiars disappears for us who didn't call them home. Rubble removed, trees felled, lot scraped flat, a truly blank expression. As with the passing of an acquaintance, time has made recognition hazy. Now, when a former neighbor tells me she used to live on Los Gatos Court, house with the tall hedge, I go to maps to help me recall that forgotten face.
Can you hear me okay? Yeah. So I did write a long story about the first 3 days after the Tubbs fire. And this is just a poem that I took kind of out of the most important part of the story I put into it, this poem. And I call it Sunlight Pierced Through the Violent Storm. And it always makes me cry. I stared at the unimaginable, my home for decades gone. The wreckage of our lives, a hideous mound of debris. The unbearable acrid stench, smoky ghosts of burnt out structures, charred remnants, once our beloved neighborhood. My heart, a solid stone in my chest, each breath a struggle. Anxiety came over me like a thick fog, suffocating, obscuring all light. My son Steve helped me search through the rubble. Not a single possession survived. A gravesite of shattered memories. Every crunching step, a gut-wrenching sound on twisted pieces of metal, pointed shards of glass, fragments of scorched pottery. Anything wood devoured by flames, disintegrated into ash and smoke that vanished into the atmosphere. Ancient memories. Treasured art, cherished collections, none of it mattered. What bothered my heart most, the loss of family photos, priceless mementos, like the gift from my once 8-year-old son. A small maroon-colored ashtray, ceramic ashtray, he made in the 3rd grade. This Christmas gift to me in 1976. Losing it was heartbreaking. Then, illuminating the dark, a glimpse of hope. Sunlight pierced through the violent storm, like life unveiled a miracle. Steve stepped across the blackened ruins, reached deep down into the rubble, and lifted up the miracle, a small reddish object, the maroon-colored ashtray. Once again, he placed his gift in my hand, the only treasure that endured, but it was enough. Through tears of joy, a wave of serenity washed over me. Though daunting challenges loomed ahead, I knew everything would be all right. Thank you.
This is an ode to a volunteer firefighter. I wish I were a fireman in San Francisco in 1906, or now, today, in the places where we sift among ashes. I wish I were a firefighter at Wilbur Hot Springs in 2014, when dragons shattered windows and devoured the Grand Dame Hotel. Beautiful, lovely, dangerous. The golden fire rises day and night, no matter what, fire goes on. I wish I were a fireman this summer in the remote counties of California, where the raging grasses, I could work the water, pour it out, drench the scorched ground, calm the terror, drown the stench and fear. I wish I could ride on the fire trucks, saving school buses of students on their way to Humboldt, doe-eyed youth leaving home forever. Family dreams broken, fragmented by fire. Rage and beauty, terror, aflame. Gather, flee, wait. I wish I were a firefighter. That I might float in deep water, eyes to the sky, watching crows fly for night's home tree, trucks at the ready.
These poems are very touching. I lived in Kenwood at the time of we had the Nuns fire, and our house was spared. So I feel for all of you. I wrote this poem in response to a video that appeared on YouTube after the fires. It's called After the Fires. Amid the weighty gloom of the somber sable sky, plumes of poisoned gas, blackened molten matchsticks, charred and chalky chimneys. The postal worker delivers the mail.
Hi, I'm Robin Gabbert. This first poem is actually about rebuilding after the fire. And some of you may have rebuilt your homes as I did. And I happened to be renting a place right across the street from where my home was in rebuilding. And so I had the experience of seeing everything that was happening. And this is one of the experiences. It's called Involuntary Alarm. My body clock has set itself to follow the rhythm of the building crew. Hammers pound and loaded vehicles beep, beep, beep their way backwards and into my sleeping brain, rousing it to semi-consciousness. I reach for my earplugs, but know the gesture will bring few extra Z's. I am awake, mind racing. I know that if I try to sleep now, all I can expect are dreams of hard-hatted Lilliputians tying me down and climbing into my ears with tiny jackhammers and pneumatic nail guns. Thank you.
Testing. I'm the microphone guy. I always have to raise it when I come up, so I'm used to doing that. I did not lose a home that I owned during the fire, but I built a fire. This is what the poem's about. I built a house, and through a divorce, we sold the house up on McCrae Ridge, and you'll find out what happened to that. The Walbridge fire forced me to review my relationship with Avalon. Betrayal led to abandonment, leaving a self-built dream home, and 2 young teens leaving dreams and memories for the new buyer. My dreams of buying it back, restoring sanity. Now, 2020, fire raging on Armstrong Ridge, I sit at home in Forestville, ordered to evacuate, not this time. Not abandoning this spot after 17 years, remodeling gardens, cat named Jackson. I rebelled, I stayed to water garden, care for cat, but mind on the fire, thoughts of the new owners of Avalon. Would they protect the pole house I built? Would they abandon the land and houses to fire? Would they stay and fight the flames as I would? The kids' memories, the lofts in their bedrooms, ladders specially built to climb to their cubby, the Honduras mahogany trim. The radio reports Bullfrog Pond burned. After the fires were contained and still under evacuation, I drove the back way. River Road, Waller Road, West Side Road, Sweetwater Springs Road, then McCrae Ridge Road. Seeing devastated land devoured by wind, flames, and fire, I wonder if the house stands. I'm alone in the car, re-stepping a path taken I hadn't released for years. Neighbors' homes gone, land still smoking, meeting no one except a fire truck descending Sweetwater. Alone with thoughts of what to do, how will I feel if nothing is left? Rising fingers of smoke and ash as I arrive on Ridge. Another house burned to nothing. I turn right. Approaching another old house, only the rock fireplace and chimney stand. I drive forward to see, to finally know what I will feel, react. I crest the hill, breath stops as blank space appears where a labor-loved home stood. I park, get out. Now what? Deep breath, relieved or angry or nothing. It's good to let go since nothing is left. No more thinking how to save money to buy this place for my kids. They have married, moved on, now are in their 30s. A new living memory from fire. One lemon on a potted lemon tree. I take the lemon, bright yellow, warm in hand. Thank you.
This next poem is called Paradise Ridge. Barbara and I here are neighbors, and we both lost our homes in the fire up in Fountain Grove. And we both live about a quarter mile from the Paradise Ridge Winery. And this takes place there in and about Paradise Ridge. Winter grapevines, having lost their fluttering red and yellow robes of fall, line the hillsides like gnarled menorahs, standing guard against the darkening sky. I feel an affinity with these vines which survive the fire and soldier on. They are like me, I think, old growth vines, tested by fire, resilient. Winter rains threatened erosion, but still they held fast. I reach for their strength, but feel mine being sapped by insurance company greed, by unfathomable construction errors, by administrative snarls that would make even Kafka despair. I just want to be back in my home, to rise from the ashes, sit on my deck of changing hues, a glass of rock pile Cabernet in my hand. Our roots need to be indestructible, but at this moment, mine feel like a tendril of smoke. Thank you.
So one of the things we were kind of surprised about after the fires was how quickly things responded and rejuvenated. Rejuvenation. The rarest seeds, long dormant, fire poppy, jewel flower, are swift to respond, craving the crucible, scorch of heat. Singed redwood trunks sprout lacy emerald gowns, and bevies of naked ladies thrust up in seldom seen profusion. Within days, night vision cameras capture coyote, then black bear, emerging from burnt brush. But some of us are just too old to reclaim youth, our bark too crusty, seeds desiccated too long. Renewal will require more than rain. Let us grieve. Give us time.
Hi, I'm Bridget Hayes. And this is more of a short or a piece of flash. Finding compassion for their compassion. On social media yesterday, I saw a photo of a bunch of people standing around a leather harness. Not the kind that horses wear, the kind you might see someone wearing at the Folsom Street block party in San Francisco. A lot of bare skin and not much else. I read the caption. It said that the item was found in the essential clothing donations collection for the Los Angeles fire victims. This brought back some memories of the Sonoma County Tubbs fire. In October of 2017, I led a backpack donation drive, established a storefront to collect items, and coordinated over 30 volunteers to pack, sort, and distribute school supplies to kids who had lost everything. Among the boxes of donations we received were gratuitous items like stiletto heels, sparkling evening gowns, glittery purses, and slinky lingerie. We expressly asked for school supplies, backpacks, and school uniforms, nothing else. But the community's generosity poured in without rhyme or reason. At one point, 2 semi-trucks filled with donations pulled up to the storefront door. With tears in my eyes, I had to turn one away. Some of the donations were more fit for a disco than for people who had lost absolutely everything. I wavered between weeping and annoyance. Each bag of nonsense felt like an insult to the fire victims, like people were helping themselves by dumping their garbage versus helping the community. Instead of focusing on the necessities, volunteers had to divert their efforts to locate drop-off sites for sparkly dresses, hip boots, and outdated makeup. But yesterday, when I saw that leather harness in the photo and read the lighthearted and funny comments that went with it, something finally lightened in me. I realized that most of the people donating those items were acting out of true compassion. Maybe they had those bags of long-forgotten clothing pieces sitting in their garage for months and finally found the right opportunity to donate them to a good cause. They thought that the donations would actually stay in the community and be put to some kind of use. And somewhere deep in those bags of sequins were probably a few good pairs of jeans and some warm jackets. These folks wanted to give. They wanted to help in maybe the only way they felt they could. And in the case of the leather harness, these generous donors also offered some comic relief during a time when laughter is very difficult to find.
Alrighty, this poem, I have to tell you, was written in 2019, which you guys may remember is after many of us lost our homes in 2017. We had to evacuate again in 2019 because it looked like there was going to be another wave of wildfires. They came very close. They came as close as Windsor, I think. And it just made me really angry. And so I mostly wrote this poem out of anger. It's called It's Happening Again. It's happening again. Yellow-gray skies again pervade my world. They are the color of the fangs I want to bear and snap and snarl at everyone and everything. Gray ash falling from the sky as if snow was always the color of sorrow, as if trees wished to be licked by flames before peeling and disintegrating in fire's embrace. This is the afterbirth of a fire whose breath lingers on your clothes and in your hair and builds a nest in your lungs like a starling, making every breath rattle through the branches. Thank you.
This poem was written a couple years after the Tubbs fire, after we kind of kept getting hit over and over and over again, and we're also dealing with the drought at that time. It's called Northern California in late July. Last winter's clouds dry as old dish rags, and now the river thins to the width of a dead tree. I'm fighting to love summer as heat rises to unbearable degree by degree. and garden greenery desiccates, flower heads brown and hanging. Hour to hour, my heart floats and sinks like a yellow swallowtail as I listen for sirens and wait for the cool of night, to sleep, to hold on to the comfort of my husband's warm hand. In my dreams, I sing the names of those I love. In the morning, I put on work boots, fight the double threats, fists of fire, fists of drought, the pummeling, pummeling, pummeling. But I was born under a waning midsummer crescent. I belong to this season of sandals and sundress, beach and salt air. I have to push hard against the glare and sorrow that is California, late July. Because underneath this pale, smoke-veiled summer sky is the rising blackberry moon and the only place I've called home. Thank you.
Thank you. I'm going to close with this one. It was written after the Tubbs fire. Kind of want to find some resolution in things. This is really a kind of a poem to the universe, really, night itself. When you glide in among us from the Pacific, the world settles down. Cities and towns relish your deepening blue. When your fog glows in, stars in dusk's evening gowns. Sure, God, I can't see. Any chance bring that light back? I really can't see it. And, cataracts and all that. Oh, much better, thank you. All right. I'll start with, when your fog glows in, stars in dusk evening gowns dim over our twisted blackened hills. Shivering naked trees vanish. Streetlights, lit like comets' tails, melt away. And you breathe more night and further the coast wind night, pushing from our symbolic minds the memories. We walked, ran, drove from the fire-blown streets to the paved highways, all in rigid smoke and shocking news, more ominous than our flights. We escaped to the unknown and have rerun those routes ever since, until we learned again and again the fallout, forgotten now in the vast, slow fog. And you breathe more night and further the coast wind night, pushing from our symbolic minds the memories. Silent phantoms wander in, edges draped in scarlet, erasing blackboards of horror, dragons, and obsessions. Around noon tomorrow, the curtain will lift. The abandoned hills and hollow trees will come back, injured and wounded in the turbulent chaos, back from the fires and the full throttle battles raged against them. And you breathe more night. And further, the coast wind night, pushing from our symbolic minds the memories. Okay. And I just want to take time to appreciate everybody in this room for being here tonight.